To him some malema de any juma as a diversionary tactics no. And no more day xenophobic attack because ni election ba ni impeachment do this week or next week they call him to the impeachment chamber and then their president award £4 million. Wouldn't mean justify baby on yes can acquire the battle a fool no. And no see says why yes I didn't know Babaka ama the Soweto boys, the lazy boys in Entingu Street so no lazy state of emergency. No lazy state of emergency. Election crime ain't me maso. Or now by sacrifice for what policy against her, what by family Ghanaian citizen. And then there are more folks idea to Jasso. On your shade. On she will be a Rabani Yansino, Yansi will be a Nasa or no such a rabba. Every did the sub-year Minister of Foreign Affairs as an attempt. What does the Foreign Ministry do? Consult and seek permission from your president to ban that girl from entering the space of Ghana.
I was in Chow, Farouk Wahab or non swaba Abema a full breakdown on what is going on in South Africa. There's xenophobic attacks. And this time, as a Ghana form target we batch of Farouk, Eka, and Sem Ewum. Now, at the end, over there, say, and you may be actually, if you have to be in Sikwa, because South African baby as a holiday, the Adom, the Biano, as a coso. Me batch of Farouk have HH details, any secret be a share as Anima, Air Cost in Nigeria. Yebeko na Yakwaku tea. Na butia men chair hu ye nko ba before that menka was a high first time na wa subscribe to channel no Phoenix medi edc comment section open. Na yentie Farouk Wahab brought me a breakdown of enema akoso the South African xenophobic attacks. Akoso eventually Ghana ban etimi akwakofa yedom aba in fact first batch aba no mbaye stories ahodo a omobobo enema omakom ene de yaye omo ho any other say wuti na o can see any who say yes and maybe now what can be because Farouk Chema say bibi in church. Why is it that the young guys now almost HA movement the Jacinta lady and omo maka they do la ne march no omo e push that xenophobia any amano yenche omo there is a reason why ebusia yentie nsem.
I knew of Magraheb, I knew of all the South African native musicians at the time, the struggle. I work as a devoted program at Ghana at Dubai.
Okay, freedom is coming.
Yeah, freedom is coming tomorrow. And look what they say. Redesigning several times. Some are or some be any other Pan-African musicians. That time and that era was when His Excellency the late President Nelson Mandela was incarcerated on the Robben Island and with them was several years. Kwame, why and how? Dom Kwati Kubia near Freno, African Congress, African National Congress, and Kwati Kuba, African Founders Native Congress. Chingi Kurimiansa. At that time,
when you say, Ebra Sadian Krabayeno, then in secondary school, Mekai book could be about author the Pan-African writer series in a book. I know South African writer Peter Abrahams. Now the book could be yellow, and now I'm the black at Tron, tell freedom.
Yes. Winning. Amen. Almost a circle and almost branding abrofon. In South Africa apartheid system, no. Abrofon casa the British, the Dutch, any the supremacy, white governments around the world that. I mean, no woman did you a South African citizen home. And woman, yeah, then woman introduce you say any organization, a be in South Africa, a by Nipetuntumbiano, it was a banned terrorist group. Now, Kwame, that time South Africa for the year and Ranians, a apartheid, no more Population Race Act. Population Race Act, a Nipetuntum, not or you say, or Krumo. No more na passport require many be because they are the real South Africa population and young for more time. And no more by activists near friendly. The Group Act. The Group Act for the day any nipetuntum ebia say obekan ho abom agina kwa say omutintie mom Group Area Act say aha secluded area ya the red tape papa ho aha na montena. And ye be also the Working Act. And if a two can be in what obey Juma, a well fear any more proper proper salary nim, and yes, I get here what we allow so be self Bruni as house help, and then the Bema Maria Makeba Winnie Mandela Minanomi house or abroad floor. Now, again by appetite woman introduce you. The nene, the no meaning say, it be a botamo, a barbina, a who say, Nana, it be any platoon to baby grandca, Omanya, and Camino meaning and Suama woman. Ghana, as you made the reference case scenario, was not only our radio stations. Our GCB, Ghana, your friend said, Ghana television or whatever. Every year programmer, not every Saturday, every Friday and other days, or air program. And go for Timothy South African, then they will come in and give narrations and they will speak. No, that time, no. Not South Africa for activists. Young Ghana as a country, you issue your sacrifice, your passport. So share your old passport now. Valid to travel to all other countries except the Bantu's land. And at that time, no.
Passport blue na to
yes, I then when crowd is saying black one can see no Bible no.
Ah, black one can see no.
Yes. Then I changed the faces of passport 6 times. The first one I knew you should. South Africa was banned. So no Ghanaian passport was even allowed to go to South Africa. And who did that? Successive Ghana president from Dr. Nkrumah post-independent. Come to Kotoka. Come to Friday, FIFA. Come to Buzia, Agyapong, Akuffo, and then Rawlings 1, Rawlings 2, Liman in between, Rawlings again, and then up to President Kofi, President Nhyira at that time in the UN chamber, Nkrumah Yebi. UN chamber, Agyapong, or the uniform, AEB, they condemned, and Ghana was the only country that went to the UN and declared, said, so apartheid woman and a passport, or man in Kukrumbo. And on top of that, which country, yes, Ghana has once declared that we will not even travel to that country with the Ghana passport in protest for apartheid system to be abolished. Ghana, yes, I know. That shows you the commitment and how strong the Pan-African government at that time, Pan-Africanists, Julius Nyerere, any Kenneth Kaunda, and Nkrumah, any those of that likes, Egypt funding in our support to you. And we move fight, forcing Mandela to be out. During this time, South Africa ANC, Air Funders, African National Foundation, Congress Foundation, Gomede, Isaka, and applied in Pamian San TNC. How did the apartheid system? They killed them. Omu Jane Kotina country be near friend Mozambique. At that time, Mozambique forms so I go through the struggle in the hands of what? The Portuguese. Being the only country, 5 Portuguese countries in Africa, Lomkwan and independence, Angola, and Sao Tome and Principe, and your friends Mozambique, and Guinea-Bissau, and Cape Verde. These countries, now at 1975, Umkwan and independence colonial masters because now Portuguese follow Empress Umbifu Mozambique. And now Mozambique for Kwati could be a near friend Frelimu. Almost also ANC type of apartheid, normally fight apartheid in Yabeti be Frelimu. And your friends in Namibia, also Kwati Womudia, Swapu, Swabakaya, South African Southwest African People's Organization, your friend Samnujuma. And this Frelimu. And one ANC for the alliance, and a Mandela mo, and a Tabu, your friends, Oliver Tambu, Wata Susulu, and a way Ramaphosa we, Tabu Mbeki, and those ones in Mandela, and then Yakwan, one of the Katina Hobby, and Obaya, Omcheno. Kwame around that time, country or Ma Omukwine, I know Moya underground terrorist organization. ANC was a terrorist organization, branded. Omi underground ni Frelimu, Kwaya, Omti Association, Omu independent. Intimna Frelimu for 2 Samora Masha, to be independent by fighting out the Mozambicans and Omu Bie Omu Dos, say ANC Monfa Hanyu Krum. Tabo Mbeki, Jacob Zuma, Omina, Nomina, Mozambican Nomate. They didn't have, because the Population Act, the Race Act, didn't give them passports, so they were not South Africans in disguise. They were nationals of South Africa, natives, but they were not South African nationals. No many passports. Who gave them passports? They used Ghana passport. Mandela used Ghana passport. Maria Mandela used Ghana passport. Winnie Mandela used Ghana passport. Thabo Mbeki, Omunan, they have one way or the other used Ghana passport. illegally use Mozambique passport and Samora Machel president. Use Zambian passport. Use Zimbabwe passport, and even Tanzania also awarded them passport. That was how they were traveling around because no any South Africa passport. And then I know Timbakuma, but solicited for fans. A camp on my Omubi, Potokama Omubi, Kwame Nkrumah Omubi. All Ghanaians society up to Rollins cry even fought and gave them Rollins Aka, so now Mandela Kwayi or Magana poor country or $2 million 2 times. Now, Kwame, countries a sacrifice here. Mozambique, Samora Machel, and then your friends Machel, Mrs. Machel. Samora Machel be a president, you know. And now you for South Africa ANC for you. Omunti South Africa Defense Forces, apartheid system, everywhere Krumo, Ekokum ANC members and Mozambicans, 200. I mean, Nipa Makumaku 200 going to fight and crack down ANC on the foreign soil. So Samora Machel Mumumpi, no more fugitives and their terrorists. Samora Machel Amumumpi, and there no. There SADC meeting, no, they could share a Limpopo. So Wambra, in SADC presidency in Elko, and Samora Machel. All corner Russia for catcher and say, Maonko, Okwa Umbekuno, because they say want to attack the ANC on their soil, fighting for independence. And Samora Machel NT, and also Omama na show everything. Or Kokwa yes SADC meeting Nebian, OPA on their border with South Africa, Luambo Ayono, Afia Forest, and Umkum Samora Machel, and the Bekani. It is obviously the history. Mandela that jail no near Kum Samora Machel. ANC for any move from her because Romunti and you come Samora Machel, and Romujan better Zimbabwe, and will be quoting Zambia, and will be quoting Malawi. Namibia no swing independence because Namibia and South Africa for Nandi Crown and a swap with Susuko underground. Kwame, all this time on authority, I'm telling you, diplomatically, historically, everything. They were using Ghana and other passports. Sierra Leone, you show passport. Everybody issue Gambian passport, and I normally travel around to solicit for African weapon enthusiasm to support the agenda of the apartheid system, racial segregation to be broken down. African phone you win now. Mra Yeyi Mandela in 1994, after 27 years, Kwame Papana bread. There was little that you could do, but then good enough for no. Abrofuni ye kruno, only develop South Africa A to Z and the whole place. Intina Mandela no in here developmental agenda on the program. No in here roads, no in here electricity, no in here BBI. The only thing Mandela could do at the time already tired was to integrate the black man. I was in accounting. The black man was in engineering, and as a black man be a no bit office. And Mandela tried to even say or introduce you. No, who said Jumana Success? That's how they will become municipal assembly. Now, Professor be a city engineer, the platoon to need that qualification. And see, Mandela don't quite say, who bring now your head, no, Babe deputize it, then the platoon and your head. That was what Mandela did all this. He didn't talk about employment and never did he speak about employment. He was talking about institutional integration by the whites, that the blacks and the whites to mix. Mandela had the chance at that time to close down the apartheid and sack all the whites because the blacks know many abre. Oman and South said, no, I will not pay them back. We need them, they need us. Because if they go out, you need to be a bayer. You know, if not anything at all. Big Botano, our ma quine. Mandela, it's in Piano. Mandela is vice president. And Mandela was using 2 vice presidents. Or you should Adom Becky, and you see your friend is saying, was that the clerk? Is that the clerk or the butter? I think the clerk. And you should as a deputy. And when we started in the first, second year. And our Brofono, Nationalist Party for no, Eka say, Ma or no, the clerk and what a uniso, P. And no P. The Mandela, the idea 3 years. And a clerk a few, and a back 2 years, Tabum Becky. And in 1999, 5 years, and a Mandela so bread. And indeed, no bread. Now, dear back on here, the world didn't know. What say? And I would say, Tabo, and the moon now, the Batambo, Water Suluno, Mozambique for the gym. Yahunti, you come, Mrs. Samora Machel, you come, Samora Machel, and Sanatia, Grace Machel, Nigeno, Amamina Nahono, or no Mandela, or Damunu, when you win Mandela being a problem. And what Coco Wale, Mameno. Now, Kwame Bissau said that Mandela grew up in the 70-something or 80-something years. And what didn't be a Hona Sebi or no bad the Kwadwo or Wale, Mameno to show a sign and a kind say what the crazy even the body and the death of Sarwa Mashe because of the sacrifice. And the man, I mean, the first lady of South Africa.
Yani kaneno yehu say yi Mandela akwa wane say say you not here saying na say na happen here. They mum say na it was for a reason.
Man, there's prison. What a prison? Sarwa Mashe we not Mandela that the prison. Mandela pay 94. Not Sarwa Mashe over 10 years. Mandela other prison let another couple some message Masharana. There be ye ni we no ni ANC for chance no ni the Mandela case naba. And we say ye guy we ni ayebi me ne wo ma de oye nyina fine because ma me ne na against afi no no akwa pe ANC na head and the man Mandela twen ho say wuntimi nsai zuma mo ho wuntimi say that was the do my gware guy ba nya so kotwe mpra nemo ma me na attempt to lead the ANC as a president so there be. The fact that me na benya time no and say yes also ye esa na be monarchy and ma me na ntia se no ni jaye no and no Kofi Grace Michelle said wunti yenti ni kungu na waye kunani na winim the life of being a first lady but waso and no fa one na enye na ire say okofa no ne twempra. That is the history. Now when you put that aside, Mandela everywhere Thabo Mbeki by the first 2 years, Thabo Mbeki first 2 years oni Zuma a government you know. And I was starting say, one in an SOBSH employment because no more integrity in the Patuntum area. That office is near the name of Mcbrown area, Santon, and is at Port Afra, baby, and now Mcbrown Port Elizabeth, and there, Nipatuntum and Jinko. Name of Eastern Cape, any other place that dominance of the black in your model, Mandela and TV integrity. Yes. Thabo Mbeki could not start the employment procedure programs. So, our man and call for them. Or Mama Kusia Juma, or introduce polytechnics, or introduce Mama Kusian and Juma and Asomako school. And the few no Mina Kwaku school, no Mabaya more or less, Abrofon cash cow. Woman at Thabo Mbeki Betwaso, and Thabo Mbeki back on the first election in 2004 from 99. 2010 we introduce you said Mozambique for Ajimo Juma, because now Brofoni Mozambicans. That's another Libya anymore. Not gonna for Kromonom, yes, say Nigeria ni bien in South Africa. Congolese bien in South Africa. Cameroonian bien in South Africa. Gabonese bien in South Africa. Malian bien in South Africa. Name Malawi, and a name Mozambique, and a name Zimbabwe, the Zimbs, and a name Zambia, and a name Lesotho, and Bambane, and Swaziland, and Bambane, Eswatini today. Women are never Krumo as foreigners. And Roms are brought in a poem because South Africa for no fee said, oh, we are dangerous. It be appetite no bo babu kunu. And Thabo Mbeki started that idea. Say, I want Juma na kwame. Obia omuma kwama mu yebeku omunti yekum omu president. Omunti yekum omu leader. Omunti yebekum Mozambicans 200 by South Africa Defense Force. Kwame say onya kwan na who be president. The national affairs so tackle. South Africa Xenophobia attack. They didn't start with Ghana and Nigeria. No. It started with Mozambicans. Omu vie no. And I'm saying South Africa. They are building trade professionals. Zimbabwe and Zambia for Naji. South Africa ni bien wa we mason. Why are building trade professionals? Why are Thailand in Bibi? Anti Mozambicans no. And you don't want to abroad from you. Then they turn around and start to create the hate. Zimbabwe on my own passport. Zambia on my own passport. Thabo Mbeki time no. Two xenophobic attacks. Our the diversity, the political, your friend is inefficiencies. Mozambique no attack no. And don't attack Zimbabwe. And the governments were like Mozambique. Mugabe was like, how on earth? Because me Mugabe, me Mandela, me Nyamawete Kumhada. How do you attack my citizens? Because not Ghana is involved in the crime wanted. Because not Nigeria for you want it. And the Thabo Mbeki, Nesani inefficiencies, and then Jacob Zuma, a force of parliament at the end vote of no confidence. One to man 2 times, and we did to Thabo Mbeki and a Zuma by no. The first time. Honestly, introducing the same thing when the South African youth were crying, say, we are not getting jobs. But they couldn't tell me, so because you don't have the profession, because you don't have the education, because what comes to wait at and the young creative means, Musumbenyans and Jumatima competing with the Mozambicans. That time in Africa for us, it was Zuma time in Nigeria and Ghana for call. What happened, Kwame? Zuma had been the first elections. From 2008 more than Robert first elections, you know. Oyerepa and introduces xenophobic. Say how when Ajima Juma. That time, no, Ghana was not much affected. Ghana was not in the picture. Nigeria was not in the picture. The same Zimbabweans, the same Namibians, the same Malawians, the same frontline states for the Nomubuomo. Then there komu at that later time of Yoko Zuma. And the Zuma year, no, xenophobic attack back to back. Into Kantua, Tabombeki Yabako. Zuma Yeminu. Look at that person, not only the militant head of ANC at that time in Mozambique, and any Jacob Zuma, one of your foreigner, no Mozambique passport. One of your foreigner, no Mozambican passport, no Ghana passport. There were the people who first introduced the xenophobic attack, and the top boys in it. In Tebedu election, no master, just only to raise a state of emergency. And read the state of friends. Now I had wait me the actual.
The Ekosiisen. Nan ye hu be a ye evacuate and Kofi. It's for a reason.
The reason is justified by the ANC inefficient government, who seeks not to have introduced and added to the employment stock in South Africa from Mandela 1994 leading up to today. Omuntimin created job 7% as a stock. And Abrofon fee said, Ofili comfort because South Africa need Juma. They have one of the strongest unions of the world. And it's a hotel crown near Befan, who found a Juma so cleaner or Johnny Union now, unity. That is the point. Now, Broni Patun Tumbefa South African is only an African country till today. At that time, now all budget surplus and no mundi. Mumusa said Jacob Suma, when the D Womsika, Aoji or Kosevuji. Tabombeki, Sikadie, any inefficiency no the Pamno. What about Sarah Ramaphosa, and you on the farms, Omukofa 4 million pounds, and 4 million etc. US dollars near the idea as a certain president. And they do elections, sir. Then they find a way because employment issues will come up. Then they trigger. Nebedu was a Nigeria for the first xenophobic attack under Cyril Ramaphosa against the Nigerians. Quite many days. See Nigeria for to Range Rover and cars. That uprising on the streets of Johannesburg. Broad daylight where was South African police? At that time, Ghana was not too much affected. How did they accuse the Nigeria? Nigeria for the apartment, Nigeria for crackers, Nigeria for phones and sneakers. Nigeria need be no wire shop. So open your mechanic and Ghana for Nigeria for no mechanics. They are business boys. More accuse you of drugs, yes, who enforcement. Drugs, only South Africa police near drugs. Munchu. Now they now say Nigeria for you Manu no worry. And Domba Nigeria no much market sent to Mumpo. One woman offer, and I was one per Juma, and all gas so jia. Which are you day now? Which your woman? Nearly dinner. What you family you know me not say, no show woman. Now be about Chrome about to range over the amount of Kwame. So I'm top Rajano to range over and talk. Yabuno. Now, Bani Diach, yes, I am paid money, my mamma. Mamma and Manchester. Now, Kwame, leading to that, what's a Ghana for the Juma? South Africa and Ghana, job attack Ghana say. Ghana 90%. Kwame meaning bishops Zubia means home into a Tuga. They are bishops in South Africa. Oh, Limpopo, sorry. Why hairdresser? Hairdressing saloons cover for 1 year, Ninia hairdress. Ghana need your South Africa be apart from mechanics and the few others. Kwame, I just normal liberal work. When have you liberal work? I just normal hairdresser. Kwame to talk about it. No South African girl. And now no question I say you butchery. Into those days in South Africa for doing natural hair, and yet natural hair and unim. Natural hair nature say, unim tribo, and yabobin. The Ghana for the Kobo Muti, Ghana for the share woman wig, Nigeria for the Cameroonians and the Aborians, and the cost show wig. Till today as we speak, Talum Bien was South African Indians so busy you 1 year. Rather no, you won't see a moment welfare or what Yashani or Yashano in the back home. So they don't want to work. And the boys so sorry no our bar and unyane our bar there be our book into obudia obi de oba ne beko into namu group ne du ha ne ama wo activists ne aka wo mabom say Nigeria for na bagimo djuma na kwa me wo ye demonstration says xenophobic attack wo pamom wutimi cause obi look at the apartment you are sleeping in. Even me South African I can't get that apartment. It's a stupidity because Ghana for a good bronze a die high. Any Ghana forecast home team or American, excuse me, to some blacks, the same problem. John Hopkins area, who come Maryland, who come New York Bronx, who come Queens, before who come Harlem in the Bronx, who Why are the Ghanaians? Ghana for Ajidan, Wabeta, Neba Bekosku, a doctor, also Neba at the project. The lifestyle of a native or lazy against the lifestyle of a person one year to Kwabe Pejuma. Now, coming to buttress the point. South Africa and a Tabum Biki, 2002, offer President Kofi, and we emergency sitting, and offer Basanjo, and a Gaddafi sponsor, Festus Mogai, Selassie, and a Gabon President near Daddy. And no mistake, Organization of African Union called the OAU, President Kofi has Mungo Wizano, or no Basanjo, Mungo Wizano, OAU, no. Shatta baby ni address down European sign French for colonial post colonial Oman sign it why you attractive in team fine juma and yam branding the name no na may attractive in you move from OAU to AU our hand Durban and then right of stay, right of movement, and then right of work and yaman yansa and a Gaddafi is my fahoka Mommy the African thing na passport back in 2002 our Durban yen be a border obi antimo obi enwe be na abofun fu yom tam Gaddafi sa kwa yem kuna Africa ko bom yenya ba bia anye eno mso targeting no now say yes I do South Africa one granted visa free to any country Egypt anye Morocco anye o nyina obi anye inti African Union no e be ye more or less no a tifla dog moment man ye free but tabom beki na GC na so say ya man Durban ya open now one would have thought say all the good intentions never now kwame ya bedin xenophobic attack 1 part 2 attack 4 Nhyira police officer gina ho ye kumobana no a pregnant woman no na police officer gina ho nene as today ya fa aba near the bonipa na police gina ho hwe na ewrana odinanim bae or starting xenophobic activism nansen die no pa me what is South African history ya che no yen che no boy na no call hospital say how foreign na BMP pa me ya che no South Africa, Ramaphosa government has not arrested one. And so be so say or condemn now South Africa has been held by country Ghana. Ghana is mentioned more than 4 times. And then now they are protecting Ghanaians. And then now they are protecting Nigerians. And then now African Union after the person because all the black presidents about South Africa, May Mandela film, no abre. Omu bio bien no way to solve the problem of unemployment. Unemployment in so and yes be ni kromo omu nye and a hog one so look Kwame, if you get to know no country in Africa except Ethiopia, these are the 2 countries wickedly or as many as 16 different resident permits. Can you imagine? So you Shushana so you Shushan resident permit near the above passport to come near $500. Who are South African niba the union visa nye a resident permit na no so waje 2 years bi so ko renew who could be a juma no waje ho resident permit say we di agora o passport resident permit be 4-5 in the bubum ni na running side by side country be na yesa you have extorted money from these Africans in our and no we extorted the bia das and do the South African youth government catch them say the ya ho contribution how would share South African resident permits one is the highest in the world followed by Ethiopia in Africa here. And today now, when I say Ghana near a restaurant, Ghana for Biane, South Africa for Nkumacha because historically, natively, the only country and its citizens, any pertintum, only Biane. And yes, so during the soon, when ya apartheid system, Amane Hubenkuka, apartheid system and Fufu, when you Kogari, only go
to native foods. Say hey up my pesie power ni amba yembanku yefufu ni adondro ni enu ade ade wo mu ni sa ye comic ni shito ni ade ade wo mu ni sa
ukọ Cote d'Ivoire ubenya cheke ubenya money rice ubenya we ubenya ukọ chap Senegal mu ni other country Cameroon bobolo ni ade ade no South African native blacks woni aduane bia a wo betima identify ntomo no sugar enti no mom sugar obi ayare diabetes bibia o sori anopa odi bo fruit ana so odi anu Coca-Cola. This is how the apartheid system broken them. And think amunya chance integrate with Africans no. And kasa musia bibi free wo ho. And kamusia chapati mu South Africa today blacks oni bibi yet. So wo kwa Nigeria restaurant or something more. Na South Africa ni ba na jabo de na ba no di agushi any a year. Kwame Oyerepa ho. Ekromha. Do you know how many South African girls neti jowu? Or chef fufu say on no restaurant or order rice. Kwame Fufu Konkonte Omudike Obia because one will be that. And that is a non-African, that is purely African. That is a native that identify as African. Yedi aneka and you call it Tuntunkwa, Ominibi. And they have a broken what kind of course culture and traditional culture differences. And so gap the omo idea bako. Omunyum no massa any traditional but it rises came out from the militancy. Apart from voice. Any woman traditional massa idea na pempem for Zulu for near that then. Come the South African here as a black man. When you be or dress white, or you be a white man. And the Ekosiisen leading to Miami good friend. Why you so peeved? Wakan wasem. But then no endemic statement. I felt so sorry for him. I tried this morning even to test. It wasn't possible. Sir, Ghana exaggerating. Malema, you can do that. He cannot do that. Malema, yenya chada, mumusano, or the third force. That time, any political activism and no yet, but no yet no opinion of African listen. He invited Malema. Said I am a witness. He's a personal friend. And Pielo Lumumba, Dr. Arikana, GAOB, Pitobi, they all came. The pictures are there. Oh, me by His Excellency President Mama then in opposition. He remembers the story. Say, you didn't question yourself, oh, Dr. Arikana, you need chance, Ebon Koma. Look, Malema stand is purely Pan-African. Malema stand is against how the ANC is treating Africans. But I know the Indian said, now Ghana resorting to the diplomatic table. Now a yes here before Madama South Africa look bad. How do we sit? Near watching national television, near share UTV, near share other television stations. Now will be Obabesia Unia and Unia Bemebi and Ghanaian and Nigerian Togolese. Now Nipa Bear 5 where they are about bottom. No, the Amawi, no other bonasum, no other police is standing there. Enti Malema, Ghana and Knasi. Now you were the means to have what is called the voluntary repatriation. A cost to the country because just other disadvantages are a beba. Because Akuffo Musa Kanosoba. Are we prepared? We don't baswa. We didn't go to Kwadwo International Airport. So far, buses do muko. It do also because we couldn't come back to the airport. It comes with a huge problem. But the government, with good senses and good, on Jama citizens and the sign of protest or befriend Nipa, that should afford the South African government to act. Nemo Melema said they should allow them time for you to kill our nationals. We are near before Kadaba. The answer is no. Kwame, the Ghana government is doing all her best in this particular instance. It is the major first repatriation of the history of this country. I'm yet to see the president be our EB. This is an achievement to me. Say Ghana higher concerned, near high commissioner higher concerned, any higher concerned.
But Julius Malema. Say the ya no ebema South Africans no agidimbone say ampa indeed there is these xenophobic attacks as a result no evacuate Akuffo bema as the world over no be hu in a different spectacle.
The world all over knows abrofoni almost ANC turns around say abrofoni na ema won se broni bia no South African black backgrounds of this can ko pama oho. Because Omopam no Omompam Abrofono, Omompam Indians, Omompam the Dutch, Omompam the British, Omompam the Germans, Omompam Abrof Americans, Omompam Womo. And the Petun to my own enemy, and one ANC government. And they say, as we speak, Cyril Ramaphosa, our impeachment, and when the sign is Sikano, 4 million once a maba. And we are against all diabetes that said Malema. Also Malema, no, so I said the Nako Court in Dictina, Oma convictina, no more, but no say. Zuma Edisika, Moche no. Moche sentence in 2 years. What your friend is saying, it's in Cape Town. Obian 1 million a friend Zuma, when the 1 day, Ojo. Not if you know meeting. And to me, Malema, person by sacrificing for your political gains. And to him, some Malema, the enemy Juma said diversionary tactics, And no day xenophobic attack because ni election, ni impeachment do. This week or next week, they call him to the impeachment chamber. And then their president award £4 million. Wouldn't mean justify baby on yes can acquire the battle a fool. And no see says, well, yes, I didn't know. Baboka, I'm at the Soweto boys, the lazy boys in Tingu Street. So, no lazy state of emergency. No lazy state of emergency. Election crime ain't me, Maso. now be sacrifice for policy against her. Who be for me Ghanaian citizen, who be for Nigerian, who be for Cameroonian, who be for Mozambican, who be for Zambian, who be for Malawian, who be for your friends Lesotho. Woman had to be a policy against the then we have to repatriate. Into Malema story in any history, you know, I've tried even sending messages. His line is said, no, you are not correct, brother. You do all Pan-African stuff, but wait there, Ghana cannot sit down. But I mean, there's a catch here. The catch in said, please, okay, a question. His Excellency, your mama, and then the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Maya Juma, Akadia Bako. It's not been long, and a president called the Chamber of the World Organization called the UN. Ultimately tabled the resolution for the world to force the world to admit said slave trade was the highest crime against humanity. He succeeded and requested for reparation. The world voted and he won. It will be in the annals and the history of the world. Say Ghana President Libai would force the world to admit for the first time, not even in coma. Why are they? Name of Mr. President. South Africa are both Africans, and we know that you are also raising your boot in no time to lead the Union, African Union. When we are about 14, 16 affected countries, women citizens South Africa, why do you want to call the same resolution? Why don't you call emergency sitting, which the African Union and every union of the world has the right for you to call for emergency sitting? If not anything, then a ranking member, our voice, we're a powerful force, our ECOWAS. Wouldn't you mean table? Now, first South Africa. Na Ramaphosa Samra. Now when you're lobbying diplomatically, when in Mozambique in Casa, when in Zimbabwe in Casa, when you na Ramaphosa Bachimba ma isolate you. Na ma call my friend say, mission heads, my head of missions. Me said then Kayadi repatriation ni pass 300 ebano. Close down the Ghana mission. It's not diplomatically done. Name you can. Call the Ghana High Commissioner as a sign of diplomatic pressure. No one knew a shame for Mumra. South African base your hand, you wouldn't me spelling because you know many diplomatic uproar. You know many upheavals, you know many problems. But you are showing a sign, say, Chancellor Nipane Bano, your head of mission, a High Commissioner, where baby. Until some solve a problem, no. Any consular work, no, staff now foreign service from Umbeya Jumano. Because ambassador and high commissioner and you know investment I do mako blame HOC for nana beye mama woman yes Jumano Mozambique can call in high commissioner and ambassador Nigeria calling high commissioner no when I'm saying you show the red eye and spit red blood to your opponent on to national ye and then Ramaphosa idea to jaso on your shade on chi obia Rabani Yanchi obia na se ono such a rubber Ebedi Sabian Minister of Foreign Affairs as Atem. What does the Foreign Ministry do? Consult and seek permission from your president to ban that girl from entering the space of Ghana. That is how you do it. Because America and other countries, you know, Oma ban certain individuals who make certain remarks against their citizens. We haven't done that. African Union is sitting there because they can't bite. They can't come out any laws. African Union cannot turn the table of South Africa because countries now affected in Obia Jama South African ambassador to that is okay, you don't expel them. Name Obia Kofi an ambassador, and so they as far as they are concerned, you know, we are having diplomatically ties and everything is intact. It doesn't show protest. And the comment, Omun Jane Ramaphosa any message, Wabetna Sakasa back to back. Or not seeking a political freedom and his continuity of his government, any impeachment will be now overlap. And Omuye first is a no modernizing year say when they see think where they nationwide crime nationwide Roma started. South African police way. Find a book Africans.
I can't see Manika Krabina Mammy and not me who Cambodia for say foreign nationals, one more Ghana Ding, Bo Kenya Ding, and only the idea say, one mama up to 31st. The Obian fan free cronum, one free cronum no machewa, over them 3 years. 3 years and also saw swan, Ubetia $8,000 in lieu of your release. Yes, sir. Sanity, Sassy means what Swambawa.
I know very well. Or he might be Ukrumha. Omium none for 4. But Cambodia government and answer the king of Cambodia. And no more. Our Nyama, Omako, Omojiganedi, Ompagana culture, Omo Prime Minister Zimbabwe free fucking Tida, and Shabia on the quiet side. Now, the military government of Cambodia, Emra Omono, the communist system, Omo feel said the influx of the Africans in free China, because China introduces a visa wua. You have to go to a third country, so multiple visas and what mabem. Now most of the Africans in Ankasano, Nigeria for most especially, and some of good number of them are Ghanaians in the other African countries or Bubudino. So the visa woo, the time China or Choa was because visas from the Maudi Chinese visa, Kwame Chip Shimu Amanfunim. And the other visa and be when you right China airport, they say your visa woo. Baby, I would be a timbaho. That's what they can be sometimes overlook. But
baby, I visa and we are winning.
Omum about Chinese is a agent in a chipshim. Would Romana so Rom Guanju any airport to be a now register. Ada visa and room timba baby ojina. But then I'm say a Jan Umbedina Mudis Calaban to Mukasa name service and would you say what 2 months the Aniki Scala de Bay shopping. And young Tina Bescanasa and our shipments don't quiet. And Thomas started to boys. And what they do, they say.
But could you come here? Nominate Chinese Nibinam one of the Shahana says Shafana said, Debendi. About ever 2 moons say, Sir, cameras never walk room. So you wanted that camera no correct me identify.
Amen. Chinese technology in the Okan was my dear, but in me and call me say. These are now the Mawam the chips in them. We treat and now call terms in Opia amongst Wepi. Name so time national team 3 months. I don't imagine so much on. The passport in Wahun Kwan the baby of John Babefau. And people have started moving to soft areas. Macau, woman team now because Macau is Portuguese for Mama room. Taiwan Taipei, woman team because women see a strong visa ally is American for the Navy. Name Cambodia, Mongolia. Any the countries now, Americans say outcast, outlawed countries, you know. And the Cambodia for no. Now, women immigration, structured immigration, woman for about saying in Bamo Jumaye and Tibetanti, Raho. It is not that they are setting the immigration laws, but then I find it difficult because near a visa on arrival and we had the visa waiver. She said any Philippines, any Taiwan, Thailand for one. Southeastern Asian countries in Indonesia, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and South countries in East Timor, Ghana has been very strong advocate of also almost independence, any almost economic assistance. Shebu Shagari, or my Indonesia, or my today's Singapore, or my Malaysia loan, Wanje. Rollins at that time supported them with agric extension officers around those countries, Woman. And Toma is visa free. Now, Cambodia, Afin was structured immigration. Not notwithstanding, or the Ghana account or the Nigeria account is not a big deal. His Excellency, the President, on instructions to your friend, say, Honorable Kwadwo, which I believe, say, he's been very smart on those diplomatic affairs, which I congratulate him. He's doing very well when it comes to the citizen and the Ghanaian affair. Very well. Ejima Abayane said, why in the sea, and I believe the foreign affairs will react, because any Caribbeans will be visa waiver in the Caribbean, no, and the South Pacific, and there some of them, no, ye cry, you may be. Name mum, Sarkodie become one, and yet bundle it like your friends say, Momo credit. You just have to call them and isolate and discuss, have a different discussion, say, Ghana, the animal. In any case, how many Ghanaians go and call Cambodia? And 20 minutes instructions say, I talk of my Ghana for visa. Name wait I introduce, say, Yanim more good ties. Because Ghana and cancel on Cambodia there. You know more e-visa is introduce you, and I know more visa on arrival. And Timusha said, obey that kind of you say, you know more I and say, the other Namudiamo say, no matter. And the government is already be at this a statement to be a foreign ministry, be government to be the other tour. It does not become, say, a static rule, say, changing, you know. It takes the efficiencies, not the effectiveness of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. The efficiencies have to be employed diplomatically to call them on the side, say, Ghana, the Pacho Ajobre, no heading, what cooling off. No Asari Institute. Yayabida, Ebiasida, Sobakaya, Mr. Trump, Nansiana, or Sylvia, 5 years visa. No. Ghana did the diplomatic turnaround, and they were always behind closed doors, 18 minutes within a turnaround, and will resume 5 years multiple visa. It's the same spirit that you employ to talk to Cambodia, but the Ghana government and show interest. It therefore suggests, Kwame, Yenshada, Cambodia, and share that country be a no me. And the Kwame, the minimum Ghana for who can do Cambodia become 600, it be 1,000. And they say, I'm more visa, say, free chroma. It is commonly fair, say, Saye, Refi. And she said, Quache Ghana, New Mongolia. Maybe I said, then I hope because one on the criminal in Sure or Swa. What the Gallon, you know, Bakuda, who bet Marcos once we been 2 years then all.